Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's homework how-to. It's pretty late where I am right now. It's almost 8 o'clock. So I'm going to try to make this as quickly as possible. I'm sorry I couldn't get this out to you sooner. I just have had a very busy weekend. And I think the homework for this weekend and for this week wasn't too difficult. There are basically two main things that you need to do. It's more so just committing the time to doing them. So let's get started for today. Like I said, I'm going to try to my best to make this as quick as possible. I'm going to try to get it done in under 5 minutes. Um, there are two main assignments for this week. They involve reading and then sort of showing your understanding of the reading and sort of collecting some notes together that you'll eventually be able to use to help you out with your essay for this unit. All right, so here are the assignments. The first two assignments are just reading Act 1, both Act 1, Scene 1 and Act 1, Scene 2. So I assign Act 1, Scene 1 on Tuesday, and I assign Act 1, Scene 2 on Thursday. But by Monday, you should have read both scenes. You should have annotated both scenes, so I expected and still expect one annotation per page. You can annotate for rhetorical analysis, so thinking about the different characters, whether or not they're communicating effectively, what the purpose of the author is, and having them communicate the way they are, what the author is trying to show us, or what the author is trying to point out to us. You can annotate using literary criticism. So that's making observations about the text, about issues of power, either related to race between the characters or between the characters in the world that they live in. It could be related to gender, so how the characters speak to each other or interact with each other based on their gender. And it could be related to class. So what can you observe in the scene that tells us something about the class of the characters? Or when we meet other characters, what is their class and how does it interact? How do different characters interact based on their social class? So that's annotating using literary criticism. And then the last type of annotation you could do is reading like a writer. So that's thinking about different choices the writer is making. Maybe you think something was phrased really well. Maybe you think that the characters are communicating with a lot of humor. And that's a choice that the author made, right? To have the characters sort of joke around with one another. And so you might annotate about that. So those are the three different types of annotations. You just need to have one per page for every page of the scene that you're reading. One of your annotations could also be a definition of a word. So you have to define 5 words each scene. So you get to choose which words you're picking out definitions for, but find 5 words and annotate what's the definition for each of those words in the scenes. So 5 words for Act 1, Scene 1, 5 words for Act 1, Scene 2. I can speak. That makes 10 words total for your reading. And then the last thing to do once you've completed the reading is completing these debriefing sheets for Act 1, Scene 1 and Act 1, Scene 2. I'm going to show you those in a second, and we'll get back to this little, art piece that I created. So we're going to start out in Google Classroom. The first thing you need to know is how to access the readings. They're here in the classwork section under Unit 2 readings. So you're going to click the one for A Raisin in the Sun, and you should have a copy of the play available to you. So you're going to click that, open it, and it's going to pop up on your screen eventually. And it's going to look like this, and you're going to have an option of how to open it. For most of you, it's going to make the most sense to just open it with Kami, right? That is a PDF editing software, and there are directions on this assignment on how to install it if you've never used it before. But Kami is going to allow you to annotate directly on the document. Some of you have mentioned, though, that it's easier for you to annotate using, for example, Read and Write, which is a Google Chrome extension, or some of you have been annotating, I know, using Google Docs. If you can get the play to work on Google Docs for you and you can annotate on that, that's completely fine. If you can get it to work with Read and Write, that's completely fine. I don't really care what program you use for your annotations. I just care that you are doing them. Once you have it open, I'm going to assume that most of you are using Cami. You can either write your annotations directly on the document. So you can create text boxes and type in your annotations um, based on where you want them in the text, typing something random there. And I'm going to delete that because it doesn't make sense. Or you can highlight the sections of the text you want to annotate for, and then a comment box will appear on the side. And you can either type in a comment, or I really like this voice feature. So I'm going to allow it to record my voice. But maybe something I want to say in the scene is it's clear that the family doesn't have a lot of money. And I'll leave that as my voice annotation. I'll make sure to stop recording so it doesn't pick up my voice and erase that. And that will be my one annotation for the page. And if I notice something else, it's perfectly all right to have more than one annotation per page. You just need to have at least one. So those are the annotations in a nutshell. Like I said, I'm trying to make this video as short as possible, so I'm not going to go more in depth than that. But if you have questions, definitely email me. The other thing that you need to do for homework, you're going to be able to find in the Unit 2 homework section, just these debriefing sheets for Act 1, Scene 1, and Act 1, Scene 2. For these debriefing sheets, you're just filling out a chart that should look similar to the chart that you filled out for your Genius annotations of the J. Cole song and the No Name song, except there are a few additions. So you're going to start out by writing what you think the author's purpose in the scene is. So what do you think Hansberry's purpose in Act 1, Scene 1 is? Write it down here. What are 3 choices that you notice Hansberry make in the scene to accomplish her purpose? So an example of this might be the fact that she has everyone talk about the money as soon as they wake up. That might be a choice that Hansberry made to reveal the fact that the family doesn't have a lot of money. So that might be one of my choices. And then I might say that the purpose of this scene is to give us information about the characters and to show that they're in a difficult financial situation. So if I wrote that for the purpose, I would find choices Hansberry made in order to accomplish that purpose. And I expect you to write 3 choices down. After that, you are just making some observations about the play. What conflicts have you seen so far related to gender? What conflicts have you seen so far related to race? And what conflicts have you seen so far related to class? So I expect 3 bullet points in each. And this section you don't need to fill out, it's optional, but if you notice any other conflicts in the scene that don't relate to gender, race, or class, you can write them in here. So you're going to do that for Act 1, Scene 1, and then you're going to do the same thing for Act 1, Scene 2. Okay, those are all the assignments. One thing that I should say is that instead of submitting the play, just leave me a private comment that you are done reading the scene. When you're done, you don't need to turn it in. That way you can keep the copy of the play and continue reading instead of having to unsubmit it and resubmit it each time. Okay. I'm going to wrap up now. We're going to return to my beautiful collage here. Hopefully you are already done with your homework. Like I said, it's pretty late. Hopefully you're not staying up past 10 o'clock tonight getting homework done. If you are, I'm sorry, but I hope you get some much needed sleep tonight. My goal for you and for me is that you are done with your homework. You have finished the reading, and you can, just be satisfied with yourself and maybe even say, "Oh, yeah," by the end of tonight. Okay, that's it. This was this week's homework how-to. I will see most of you tomorrow. Have a great